Hola, mi gente. It's Tanya here from Art Zone. If you have seen my previous vision board video, then you know that I don't really use a vision board. I use my journal, and this journal is where I normally put my ideas, my inspirations, and so I normally do a layout for my vision boarding, and I normally do this more than once a year. I don't necessarily leave it for the end of the year, but I do revisit it often. In this one, instead of doing magazine clippings, I decided to use my Sprocket printer, my HP printer, to print out some images that I chose. Usually I use this to print out either my reference photos, either photos that I take myself, or things that I see on the internet that I choose to play with the colors, and I print them out. And I love this because it already has a sticker backing. So I chose to go ahead and use my Sprocket this time and keep it very, very simple. When it comes to the year 2020, of course, I feel that a lot of us had used the year for self-reflection, and now that is the end of it. Of course, it's been a very busy, hectic, and eventful year. I have chosen to go ahead and do some reflection. Normally, when it comes to my life, I tend to be a little bit of everywhere. I am normally juggling so many ideas, so many aspirations, so many thoughts that I overwhelm myself. I normally always have a lot on my plate. And for the year 2021, I feel that I need to make some changes in order to see positive changes, not just in my artwork, but in my career and in my lifestyle as well. So why not start this thought with the vision journaling itself? I wanted to go ahead and keep it simple, and so I have chosen a word for the year 2021, and that word for me will be focus. Focus on just certain aspects or certain tasks at a time that maybe later on I can just revisit and make changes as needed. But then hopefully I wouldn't be all over the place. Now, I'm not a big person on making like New Year's resolutions. Sometimes I feel that when we do that, we're just kind of setting up ourselves for failure, because we set these really, really high expectations. And so I have decided to look at 2021 and kind of dissect it and divide it by seasons. And so for the beginning of 2021, I went ahead and set some goals that I feel are a little more attainable and a little bit more focused to accomplish certain things. And so I have chosen this quote. I think I just got this off of Pinterest. And it's, when you set a goal, you have a responsibility to yourself to see it through. And I chose this quote because I feel that I myself have to make sure that I see myself, that I accountable basically, for anything and everything that I set my mind to do. Now, I have accomplished quite a few tasks in the year 2020, and of course I'll be making different videos on that because I've been sticking to myself, and you probably know this already since I haven't uploaded many videos towards this winter season. And I did it because I needed some time. I know that you guys already know that I was in the process of moving. I still currently am in that process, doing things kind of slowly and taking my time with it. I've already entered a new space, but as far as moving everything and getting things the way that I want them, it's still some things to do. Fortunately, with a new job, it has taken up a lot of the time that normally I allotted for my art stuff or other things. But for right now, I'm focusing on the new job and getting things moved to the new space, which I'm really excited about. I'm not in a rush, and you guys will see that journey as I create new art spaces in my new home in a new town. So to kind of make myself focus a little bit more on the things that I want to do, I decided to go ahead and really try to stick with the colors of the years that I have chosen. Of course, I look towards what colors have been chosen by certain companies, and then I kind of make my own palette. I will be making another video on that, but I'm just not sure if I'll be uploading that on YouTube or uploading it on my new Patreon, which is one of the things that I've decided to go ahead and begin for the year 2021. I know that this vision journaling that I'm doing today, I am focusing more on my art business. I want to focus on updating my shop and maybe running things a little differently. Most of the times I just go ahead and I upload things on my shop as I make them, but I make a variety of items. For the year 2021, I decided that I was going to go ahead and analyze the items that sell the most and the items that I am happier and more content making. So I'll be creating a new shop update and of course new inventory, which I have not done in a while. I've decided that I've also wanted to focus on some of my created art pieces. Normally, of course, I make my Puerto Rican art and my Puerto Rican crafts, but there are other things that I tend to paint and draw and don't normally put it up in social media for multiple reasons. One of the reasons being censorship, or just the crowd that's on my Instagram is not necessarily appropriate, and it's not that it's not appropriate, but people find it inappropriate, and so they will close down my shop. And so I do have a couple of ideas and a couple of creative pieces that I want to work on this year without allowing those censorships to put me in a box per se. As mentioned, I did decide to go ahead and open a Patreon. I have not launched it yet, but I will be giving news for that, specifically so that I can share some of those other creative endeavors that I want to go ahead and focus on. I did decide that for my 2021, I do want to focus on my YouTube channel a little more, maybe a little differently, so you will be seeing changes here as far as what kind of videos come up or I make. Now, I do want to apologize because the journal is kind of off frame. Again, I'm in a new place, so all my setups are temporary, and I'm using this stand today that I had to kind of work on. So it does make it a little difficult to see some of the things that I am writing on the journal itself, but it's just some thoughts as far as what kind of things I want to focus on, and little scribbles and little notes for myself that I am making. Now, I know that the journal itself, or the spread itself, may seem a little vague for a lot of people, but it's just that I decided that I wanted to just focus on certain aspects. So I think my shop update, some of my creative endeavors, my Patreon and my YouTube, those will be the things that I put my focus on, because it almost sort of goes hand in hand. And it's just to kind of give me peace of mind and maybe allow myself more time to do something really, really great instead of doing many things at half of my attention, and my abilities. So all of these things kind of go hand in hand. I know that if I do focus on some of my creative ideas that are not necessarily Puerto Rican themed, then maybe I can go ahead and see some growth in some of my other shops, such as Redbubble and Society 6. I should be able to utilize Patreon to go ahead and show some of these things ideas that I have that I normally cannot share because it does not fit into a certain audience. And the thing about it is that I know that a lot of the times we are told to niche down, and I obviously have niched down when it comes to my Puerto Rican art and my Puerto Rican themed crafts, and I love it. Like I always say, it keeps me close to the island. It keeps me close to home and close to my people. But unfortunately, sometimes it keeps me in a box. And when you are placed in a box, sometimes you become unhappy because you want to be able to do so many other things. And so, and I just do other things, but I feel like sometimes it stunts your growth when you niche down so small. And I want to grow. I want to continue growing and continue expanding, and not I feel like I've kind of plateaued in where I am at this moment. I will mention again, I do love the Sprocket, and I don't even think I'm saying it right, but that's just how I feel. The little HP printer, because it's a lifesaver. I'm not messing around with glue. I'm not messing around with scissors. Just kind of peel it and place it. I feel like this time around, it just makes it so much easier. I do want to go ahead also, and since this is the last video of 2020, I do want to say thank you to everyone who has been through the journey with me and shared your own journey with me and kind of grown together, because I know that a lot of us have kind of held each other hand by hand, right, through whatever individual journeys we're having. Although the community that I am part of is very, very diverse, we all have different goals, different art forms. I do appreciate all of your presence and your support. And I hope and pray that you continue to be with me for this new year, even through some of those changes that I am currently making.